What if I told you that some of the most popular exercises could actually age you in an accelerated fashion? You could be training hard, right? You hit that gym hard, but training wrong for ultimately your biological age and for longevity, right? That could be the case for you. Because while most people are working out to look good, the real goal should be to live young. So in this video, I'll show you how to craft a workout plan that doesn't just sculpt your body, it slows down your biological clock. And typically, it'll get you a six-pack and help you really, create some massive body composition shifts away from fat to muscle. So you're not just training for the next beach day, right? I know you're not doing that. You're training for the next decade. And this is what this video is really all about. I'm gonna get into why exercise affects longevity, the science of motion, and mitochondrial excellence and performance. The key points in this section here are that exercise activates longevity pathways, AMPK, mTOR, PGC1 alpha. There's a balance between all of those, as well as stimulates autophagy. Exercise for VO2 max optimization and muscle mass are two of the strongest predictors for lifespan, as well as healthspan. And exercise also improves mitochondrial biogenesis. It creates new power plants inside your body. So longevity isn't just found in a pill, right? We know that. It's built through movement. Exercise triggers nearly every pathway linked to a longer life. It activates AMPK. It boosts PGC1 alpha for mitochondrial growth, as well as balances mTOR, which is very important. This is the protein synthesis signal that's tied to the aging process. So in 2023, researchers, they were writing in Circulation, right? This is a journal article, a journal that really went into reporting all of these really interesting things. One of those things was that people with the highest VO2 max had, get this, a 500% lower risk of early death than those with the lowest, right, VO2 max tests. So this is regardless of your body weight. Another study in the Lancet Public Health found that the grip strength and muscle mass predicted mortality better than cholesterol or blood pressure. I'm gonna say that one more time. Grip strength and muscle mass are a better predictor for mortality than cholesterol and blood pressure. Why aren't doctors learning this? Why aren't doctors in medical school understanding the importance of this, right? I don't know. I think it's important now to get this out to as many people as possible. This is life-saving information, so please share this video with other people. But exercise, literally, it helps you rewrite your genetic expression. It turns disease genes off, can help to turn health-promoting genes on. It literally switches things on, just like turning on and off a light switch through these single nucleotide polymorphisms, or SNPs, inside your genetics. And this is literally a very powerful pathway that can turn longevity genes on. It can activate longevity genes. You can do that through exercise. You can do that through healthy sleep. You can do that through fasting, through eating healthy, through cold exposure, through heat exposure. So something I've seen working with patients all around the world is that biological age drops by 3 to even 5 years in a very short period of time. We're talking about 3 to 6 months just by optimizing exercise, right? The exercise that you do, the type of exercise that you do, the intensity, and how you recover. So every time you move your body, you're telling your cells, keep me young, keep me adaptable, right? It's communicating ultimately to your DNA. So the top longevity promoting exercises are as follows. There's cardiorespiratory training, zone 2, VO2 max, right? There's resistant training for muscle and metabolic health. And there's balance training, as well as mobility training for neurological protection. There's flexibility and breath work for recovery and parasympathetic tone to get you out of that sympathetic overdrive. So let's ultimately look into how we can design the perfect longevity workout. And it's really built on 4 pillars: endurance, strength, stability, and recovery, okay? These are very critical. And a lot of people overlook stability. A lot of people overlook recovery. They just go in and they focus on strength, right? The 4 pillars are essential for longevity. So zone 2 cardio is really important. This is the sweet spot where you're gonna really get to a place where you can talk, right? You can talk to somebody that you're jogging next to or rowing next to, but you can't sing. Like it's too much to sing, right? That's the kind of like, way that you can tell you're in zone 2, right? It trains ultimately your mitochondria to burn fat efficiently, and it builds your endurance, right? In 2021, European Heart Journal came out with a research study that found that the 4 things I just shared with you, strength, parasympathetic tone, balance, endurance, each one of those fitness factors lowered my mortality by 13%. So if you addressed each one of those, it can lower your mortality by 13%. So my goal would be for you to aim for 150 to 180 minutes per week of brisk walking, of cycling, of rowing, or incline treadmill, right? So this is very important. You can also do VO2 max bursts. This is short, high intensity intervals. This is like, 15 to 30 seconds. You can go up to 60 seconds. It's done once or twice weekly. There's also a Scandinavian strategy where you do 4 minutes high intensity, 4 minutes off, 4 minutes high intensity, 4 minutes off, and that's it. And that's something that has really shown to increase heart rate variability. But a cell metabolism study in 2021 also showed in this trial that adults doing high intensity interval training increased mitochondrial density. Get this, 69% in 12 weeks. Isn't that crazy? So think sprint intervals, right? Running up hills, sprinting with your bike, sprinting with the rowing machine, sprinting in the pool, swimming. These are all really good ways to access HIIT training and to help increase your VO2 max. Strength training. You want to look at doing this twice per week. It builds muscle mass, it increases bone density, it balances blood sugar. There's so many benefits of resistance training, both for men and for women. If you're a woman listening to this, don't shy away from resistance training. Don't do the things that men do where they're putting like 10, 45 plates on each side, right? Do what would be good for your body to do, that you could press your body into. And some women are stronger than men, right? I know that, but ultimately you want to push your body. You don't want to punish your body. You want to get to a place where you're damaging it. So use compound lifts, right? Compound exercises are going from squats to then deadlifts to then rows to then presses. And you create this progressive overload where you increase the weight over time, and that's a great way to resistance train as well. I personally love doing cardio and resistance training at the same time, which means that I don't typically just work out one muscle group. I'm doing compound exercises, which means I'm working out multiple upper body or lower body muscles at the same time. And I will go from one exercise to another back to back. The other thing is mobility and balance, okay? So Tai Chi, yoga, single leg workouts, all of these different balance boards that you can get. My favorite balance board is from Fitter First. There's so many different balance boards that they have. I've got a bunch of them around me. I use them all the time. Vibratory platforms, right? Balancing on vibe plates. All of that is very powerful for mobility, for balance. But what we know is that these things like Tai Chi and yoga and single leg workouts, which I do all the time with resistance training, I'll balance on one leg or whatever it might be, especially for the first couple of sets. And then later on, I'll go no balance workouts just to push my muscles harder. But look at this. This mobility training can reverse your risk of falling by 40 to 50%. It preserves neurological wiring. God, this is one of the biggest predictors of aging, by the way, is falling, breaking a bone, hurting your hip, hurting your knee, hurting your foot, whatever it is. And then you become immobile, you don't work out, you don't do stuff, and then all these inflammatory cytokines and hallmarks of aging start to increase, and it just drives disease inside your body. The Journal of American Medical Association Network Open research article in 2022, it showed a link between balance training and reduced dementia risk. what we know is that you are stimulating the mechano and proprioceptors of the body. They're sending afferent signals up into the brain, and those signals are what your nerves thrive off of. I remember when I was doing all my functional neurology training and going through all the textbooks, we know that the nervous system and nerve cells, they need three things. They need nutrients, they need ATP, right? And they also things that will help to produce ATP, and they need also stimulation. So a lot of people, they develop these neurological conditions because they're not stimulating their brain anymore. And then of course, recovery. Recovery is a number of different things. But parasympathetic activation is another thing in the recovery process that you want to stimulate, okay? So, you could look at cold exposure, not right away, not right after you work out, but the next day or later in the day, hours after you work out. Because if you cold plunge right after, or you do cryotherapy right after you work out, you're nullifying a lot of the inflammatory production of the workout that you worked hard for. That's actually going to help you build healthy muscle and biological pathways in your body, and that's not good. So do it later on in the day after you work out. You could do it right before you work out or the next day after a workout. So cold exposure is really good for recovery. Breath work is amazing for parasympathetic activation as well as recovery. The sleep strategies that you implement are absolutely essential. This is one of the biggest hacks for improving heart rate variability, is just sleeping really well, as well as mitochondrial resilience, right? So one of the things I like to do with recovery is myofascial release. I think that's huge, and I utilize that every night before bed. I think stretching is absolutely essential for recovery. And then you can use a lot of different things like the ARP wave and the Newbie device, which are essentially neuromuscular facilitation devices that will help to build muscle, but also help your muscles recover and help your muscles reconnect neurologically from your muscle tissue back to your brain. So remember, longevity training isn't about punishing yourself. It's about precision, right? It's about performance. That's what we want to do. And, exercise ultimately can be detrimental. It can destroy your health, and it can cause you to age a lot faster. We know that overtraining increases oxidative stress and inflammation. We know that endurance training to very high extremes can cause mitochondrial exhaustion and cardiac fibrosis. We know that consistent high-intensity training suppresses thyroid and even sex hormones, if you can believe that. So more isn't necessarily better. It's about balance. Chronic endurance training, right? For instance, think daily marathons or long triathlons. When you're prepping every day, it can backfire. I've had friends that have blown out their back, their knees, their hips from doing that, and that causes accelerated aging in crazy ways. A Mayo Clinic proceedings review showed that ultra endurance athletes often develop arterial fibrosis and increased coronary artery calcification from repeated oxidative stress that is driven by exercise, right? Likewise, daily high-intensity interval training without the proper recovery that your body needs spikes cortisol levels, it reduces testosterone, and it also increases inflammation like IL-6, interleukin 6. So what's the lesson here? Exercise is a drug. You can do it to help you live longer, healthier, or you can overdose, and essentially it can cause you to age faster. So in my clinic, the more burned out individuals, a lot of them aren't sedentary, they're overtrainers. And this is my story. I overtrained for probably years. And it wasn't until I worked with this doctor who's just like, look, you're working, you're in practice, you're helping all these people, but you're pushing too hard in the gym. You're overtraining. And I was like, holy cow. There's executives that do this. There's weekend warriors that do this. They push hard. And if I was eating healthy and I was getting good sleeps at night, there's people out there that are their cortisol is high, their adrenals are fried, they're eating not healthy, they're not getting good sleeps at night, and they're pushing themselves hard. So that's a recipe for disaster. So if you never rest, if you never take care of your nutrition and your health, and you punish yourself, ultimately your body never repairs. And this is where exercise turns into an inflammatory cytokine storm that drives inflammation inside of your body. So I want to give you my personal longevity workout plan. I want to give you the framework of what I personally follow and what I use for my clients to build strength, to build stamina, to build longevity. So what I typically do, I like to do zone 2 training throughout the week. I don't consider those quote unquote workout days. Those are just, days that are active. My goal is to be fit. My goal is to be integrating fitness activities every single day. When I call a workout is me doing resistance training and pushing hard and hit high intensity interval training. But what I'll do is I'll go out zone 2 on my bike on Monday or I'll do a run. I like to do this for 45 minutes to 60 minutes, on Mondays. And I also like to do a little core, a little stability, things of that nature. I also integrate working out with my children. I'll grab my kid and, my 5-year-old and I'll pull her up and down and do some squats with her and just stuff like that just to stay healthy throughout the day. It's called exercise snacking. And if you have children, it's like the best excuse to exercise snack. Exercise snack is like do 10 squats while holding your child. So Tuesday, I do strength training. I do upper body typically, and then I will alternate upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body. But I like to start off with balance boards. I like to start off with kettlebell swings or some HIIT training as a warm up to my strength training. And then I'll do, upper body. Typically I'll do like arms and back, and then I'll do shoulders and chest. I'll mix it up. But I like doing compound exercises. I like doing circuit training where you go from one exercise to the next. It keeps you moving. It keeps cardiovascular output, at a really healthy elevation. And then I also use these devices called the ARP wave, ARP wave. It's what a lot of top professional athletes use in the locker rooms. Helps to build muscle, but it helps to, again, reconnect through neuromuscular facilitation, your muscles to your nervous system. Oftentimes your muscles don't fire properly over time, and those devices can help you reconnect your muscles to your nervous system. Wednesday, I like to do stretching, yoga. I stretch every day, by the way, for like 5 minutes. I'm talking about like a good 45-minute class or something along those lines. Then I'll do walking, or I'll do another zone 2 training. I do active recovery, right? Which is really important. On Thursday, I go back to strength training. I'll alternate again, lower, upper. And then again, I'll warm up with HIIT. So I love to warm up with HIIT training. I typically do 8 intervals of 15 to 20 seconds, depending on how hard I'm pushing. Friday, I go back to zone 2, and then I'll do resistance training again on Saturday or Sunday. But Saturdays and Sundays are my outdoor days. I'll go for hikes. I'll go for swims in lakes. I like to play. I like to do sports, etc. Sunday's my day of rest, right? It's my Sabbath. I just take it off. And what I typically do is I walk a lot. I'll go swim, I'll do things that are more relaxing, right? But, and then of course I've got my ritual at night where I'm stretching, and every morning I'm doing my breath work and all of that. So hopefully that can give you an idea. But I'm integrating balance training on the days that I'm doing resistance training. I'm integrating HIIT training on the days I'm doing resistance training. I do that at least 3 to 4 times a week. And then I'm doing zone 2 training in between that. And I'm staying active as much as I possibly can. So total time is 5 to 6 hours weekly. I try to ultimately do this because I know that exercise targets all the hallmarks of aging, because it increases mitochondrial efficiency. It helps with muscular preservation. It helps with insulin sensitivity. It helps your stem cells be mobilized and optimized. It helps with neuroplasticity. Here's some scientific evidence for this. A 2022 Nature of Aging paper found that moderate multimodal training reduces biological age, right, by 3 years in just 6 months. That's pretty amazing. If you exercise consistently in a multifactorial fashion, like we just talked about, the 4 things that we just talked about: resistance training, endurance training, balance training, and parasympathetic mobilization training, etc. You know, you are going to literally be able to reduce and reverse your biological age by 3 years. Especially when you combine this, you can essentially turn this on steroids if you combine this with high quality sleep as well as nutrition. So ultimately, we want to get you into a consistent beat, a consistent workout rhythm habit. And you don't need to necessarily figure out new workouts. You need to ultimately build a long-term relationship with your calendar, with your body, that says, I'm gonna work out this time, I'm not compromising it, I'm not gonna let anything get in my way, right? So how the heck do you integrate all this? How do you build your own longevity routine with this? I'm gonna show you how to personalize this. So if you're stressed, I really emphasize zone 2 training and recovery. If you're weak, I would recommend lifting more. If you're rigid, and you don't have very much flexibility, I would recommend stretching. If you've got difficulty with your balance, I would recommend the balance training that we talked about. If you're tired, I would look at sleeping more, right? And figuring out what you can do to get healthier sleeps. And exercise is one of those things that can help you get healthier sleeps. So longevity isn't just a one-size-fits-all approach. It's essentially an evolving dialogue between your biology and your behavior. And so I want you to remember a few of these things. Track your VO2 max, right? Again, you can do that with your polar band. The Oura rings and even the watches can do this to a certain degree right now, but the polar band is probably the best way to do this. Track your grip strength. And again, the way you can look at grip strength, you could actually look at a grip strength monitor you can get on a fitness website, or you could do dead hangs. And again, for women, a minute is average. If you dead hang for a minute and a half, that's beast mode. If you are a man and you do a dead hang for a minute and a half, that's average. And if you do a dead hang for more than 2 minutes or 2 minutes, that's beast mode, okay? So that's another way. Go to the gym, just do a dead hang, see how long you can hang for, okay? That will give you a good understanding of your grip strength. As well as heart rate variability. And again, you can do that through all these really cool biofeedback mechanisms that you can wear on your body now. So that should be your aging dashboard, right? Those are simple but powerful things that really have a very marked impact on your biological age. So don't just chase fitness. Build your future, right? Through prioritizing fitness, by integrating fitness. So here's my call to action for you. Now that you know the blueprint, take one step today, right? You don't need to do all 4 things. Just walk after dinner, lift something heavy, right? Breathe deeply, sleep like it's a sacred practice that you should be really prioritizing, because you should. And every choice that you make is essentially a motion and a vote for your healthier future. So another thing that I'll say is that if you can prioritize integrating this into your calendar, it's going to make a marked difference in your life. A lot of people live and die by their calendar. So prioritize, blocks of time that you cannot pass, you cannot compromise for your workouts, and watch what happens. So if you've enjoyed this, please subscribe, share this with other people. This is life-saving information, right? How many people know that that grip strength and heart rate variability and VO2 max are better predictors for mortality than cholesterol and high blood pressure? Like, a lot of people probably don't know that. And a lot of people don't know what to do about it. So please help me get this message out to as many people as possible by sharing this with other people. We're on mission. I'm on mission to change and transform as many lives as I possibly can in the lifetime that I have. I ultimately want to leave a legacy of true healthcare and get out of this disease care model that we're in. And so I'd love for also, if you want to get notified for future videos, please just click that bell button. We're going to explore how to measure your biological age. We're going to get into labs. We're going to talk about wearable data and what we can do to make sense of the numbers. And remember, with this video in particular, it's not just about training for the next season, right? It's about training for your lifespan. And the final takeaway that I want you to have is movement is medicine. Movement is medicine, but it's only medicine if you do it properly. And so you want to dose appropriately for longevity. So train with a rhythm, train for recovery, and recover, in a healthy way. Train with purpose, and your future self will thank you. So again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Much love and God bless.